everybody's doing well. Today we're going to make a beautiful dress for our dolls for Christmas. Hope you'll come and join me. If you'd like to subscribe to our channel, we would be very grateful, and you can hit the bell button and that will give you alerts to when the videos are uploaded. You can also press that thumbs up button and that lets me know that you're enjoying the videos. In the comments down underneath, please let me know if there's anything you fancy making, and I can see if I can have a go at doing it for you to do a tutorial. So today I just wanted to show you, I get these paper bags with medications and stuff in them, and they are the perfect size to when you've got all your patterns and stuff together. They lay lovely and flat in my drawer, and I slide all my pattern pieces in there together, so it's just another way of keeping patterns. I used to do it in envelopes, but I find these were better. So if you have got anywhere you can get paper bags or something, that's an ideal thing to do. Put out my pattern pieces, and here are the pattern pieces for this dress. We have two back pieces, so you need to cut four, so two of this one and two of this one. Then you've got your bodice piece, and you need to cut two of that one. Then you have your sleeve, which is this piece, and you need to cut, there's the skirt, there it's inside the skirt. So this is the skirt, and you put that on the fold, okay, and you cut that on the fold, so you'll get three pieces on your pattern like that, and you need to sellotape them together before you cut it. And you'll need two cuffs like that, so you need to cut two of those out, okay. So, and then once you've done that, you need to just take your skirt, and I have ironed it all and starched it, but the material is a bit funny. What you need to do is you need to iron it on that 1/2 inch like that, and then iron it on the 1/2 inch so it's going all the way along like that. Can you see I've got a fold in it? And then you need to come back and you need to put a fold in there like that, and then you can pin that all along. Choose whatever fabric you like. This was a tree skirt. It's really beautiful. It's got lovely stars and that on it. I'm not sure it would wash wonderfully well, but my doll's clothes doesn't get washed that often, so you know, you could choose what you want. I just wanted to make something pretty for Christmas display. And then on both of these ends you need to fold that over and just iron that down to press that. So do that on that end and do that on at that end, and those are the main bits you need to fold. And you also need to fold your cuffs. Yeah, so this is the piece which will be for your cuff, and you need to fold it down once on the corner. So to start us off, this is very much, again, this is just a little bit of an alteration on the basic dress. So we're going to do it exactly the same as we did with the basic dress. We're going to take our two bodice pieces, okay, and then we're going to take our two back bodice pieces and we're going to lay them face down onto the front, which is face up, and then we're going to stitch across here, across here, across here, and across here. Okay, so I shall go and do that. Don't forget to put a back stitch here and a back stitch there as you finish the row. So I've got my quilter's foot on, which is 1/4 inch, and I've got my foot sitting right on the very edge of that piece of fabric. I'm just going to sew straight across, a back stitch and then straight across. And this is the first day I've been down out of the craft room, so I haven't got everything where I want it to be. Just do a little back stitch. And a little back stitch at the end. So I might be a little bit disorganised today. Okay, we'll go do that on each of the other 3 shoulder seams. So we have just done all the way across those shoulder seams there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay that down so that's folded at the back, and I'm just going to finger press it along that seam there. Okay, and do the same on that one, and the same on these two. It's a good idea to make sure you've got clean hands if you're working on white fabric. Okay, so I'm just going to put that one to one side, and I'm going to grab my sleeves now that I've got those two done. I'm just going to put these two to one side now. I've got those shoulder seams done, and I've got my two sleeve pieces now. And what I'm going to do with my sleeves is I'm going to come along and I'm going to tack a row of tacking stitches right the way along at that 1/4 inch mark, and then go back and do exactly the same again. So just go to the machine. And if you remember, when we want to do a tacking stitch, we need to just change the length of our stitches. We still want it on that straight stitch, but I'm going to change mine here to a 7, and yours might be here, might be here, or it might be up here somewhere. But basically you want it on the biggest stitch that you can do, okay? And we're just going to run. Sorry, there's a bit of thread there. All the way across this top piece from here. We're going to go all the way along. We want to make sure that that foot is sitting right on the very edge of the fabric as we run across. Just take your time. You don't want it to rush away with you too quickly, because you want to keep that fabric sitting nicely. So that's your first row. Now you want to give yourself a nice big long thread, okay, and then you're going to come back and we're just going to do exactly the same, but we want this one to be just fractionally underneath that other seam we had there. Okay, so just going to run it right underneath, just like that. So you can see where that 1/4 inch is. You just want to give yourself a tiny bit of fabric sticking out there, and then you can run along just the same again. You don't really, whoopsie, sorry, I went a bit wrong there. I'm going to just check that. Yeah, that is wrong. I'm going to have to just take that out. So I've got my threads on both ends, okay, where I've done the 2 rows of stitching, and I'm just going to come over. What I want to do is when I pin it, I want it to be pinned so that those threads come up as nice and close to the edge, not over the edge, just as close as I can get them to the edge, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it in half and get my center first. Now you can mark this with a fabric marker, which is washable if you want to, but I'm just going to pop a pin in mine, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put it where I want it to go. Okay, and I'm going to slip my pin in there. Alright, and then what I'm going to do then is gather the whole of this side around by taking the top 2 threads and just gently pulling at them, and you'll find that that starts to move that along, so you've got a nice gathered in shape like that. Okay, and then you can sort of marry it up on this end, So I get those two pieces laying absolutely flat together. What I like to do is push that one so it's going down. So this piece is sort of going straight down the same as the arm, like that. All right. So I would pop that on and pop that in there. There we go. Okay, right. And then go around and make sure that the gather on the arm is even, because you don't want a big lump in one place and nothing in the other place. All right. So just go around and get that gather nicely even along the arm. Okay, and then we're just going to come along and we're going to pin it reasonably close to the edge of that fabric. And there we go. And I'm just going to go and do exactly the same then on the other side. There we are. Okay, push that up, make sure that's sitting up right. What has happened there? Can you see that my pin is underneath the underneath, and it's not holding that piece in place, so it's holding it now. So that's why that was all moving around strangely. And I'll just catch this last piece, and there you have it. Right. Okay. So I'm going to done that on that side, and I'm going to do exactly the same. Pin that there and run all the way around on that side, and then I'll come over to this arm. And when you come over to this arm, make sure when you put it on that you're putting it on that way with the pattern facing towards the bottom piece. Okay, so I should just go away and do that. So I've got my two sleeves pinned in, so that's the underside of it and this is the outer side of it. So what I want to do now is to take my top piece of my bodice, that's the back, and I'm going to take the bodice and I'm going to put that over the top of these pins. So exactly where those pins are on there, I'm going to come all the way around and I'm going to just lift one pin at a time. I'm going to marry the first ones up into there first, into that seam where it joins together on the shoulder, like that. There. And then I'm going to marry these two up on the edge here, and then I'm going to go all the way around on this side, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with this sleeve here on the other side. So I'll take that piece over and I'll marry that up there on it so that those two seams are sitting absolutely perfectly together. Okay, we'll start with that piece. Alright, and then we'll do the end piece so that those pieces are sitting perfectly together. And put our pin in there. And then we'll work all the way around, making sure we catch all those little bits which are underneath. Alright, you don't want any bits from those seams coming out from underneath those hose, so go around and pin that all the way. So there you go, I've put it on the top, we've got all the pieces lined up. Remember, I was just pulling up just slightly higher that middle piece so that none of it was sort of coming underneath. We're just going to go around now and we're going to stitch right across the top of here. Do a little back stitch at the thing and right across the top of here. And what you want to make sure that you do is, if you were just doing that tacking stitch, make sure you put it back to your normal stitch. Mine's a 4, but whatever is your normal stitch. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to come in from here. I'm just going to line that up. Just take your time getting that lined up, okay? We're going to go all the way around this arm. I don't think that's not quite lined up. That's more where I need. No, is that it? I can't quite get it right. There we go, that's better. Okay, and we're going to make sure that that fabric is just touching on that outside edge. You do a back stitch and then just very slowly, taking your time, keeping that fabric on that edge, go all the way around and just stop every time you get to a pin. Some people do sew over their pins. Oops, I pulled out 2 by mistake. I don't like to do that because it always scares me when the needle breaks. I wear glasses, so it wouldn't hit me in the eye, but I've got this terrible fear of it bouncing up and hitting me in the eye. So I always take my pins out, but some people, as I say, do sew over. And now and again I will go over it, because you just do it without realising that you've gone over it. Okay. Add into those. Keep just turning it gradually as you go around. And there you go, you have it. Okay, do a back stitch. And then go around and do exactly the same with your other side piece. One thing I just wanted to say with this is my arm coming out this side, but this is the other arm here, and it's quite large, so you could, if you weren't careful, get that stuck underneath that needle. So just ensure that as you're going along, that all that arm is pushed back out the way, okay? It's because you don't want to stitch over that, because you just have to unpick it. All right, so this is what it should look like when it comes out. These are your two arms, 1 and 2, and this is your bodice. So the next thing we're going to want to do is to go around the neck, and what I'm going to do, so that we can do that without catching any of these arm pieces, is you want to roll your arms inside. I don't know if you can see this, hopefully you can. I'm just taking the armlet and I'm rolling it right back out of that way, because I don't want it to be caught when it comes to stitching this. Okay, so you've rolled that arm all the way back out the way, and you can put your finger in there and just push it so you can see that it's not in that area at all. And then you're going to marry those two seams up there. Okay, and make sure, now you can, what you can do if you're a bit worried about sewing over that, is just put a pin in that, so that stops that from getting anywhere near that needle. And then we're going to do the same again. So we're just going to take this arm and we're just going to gently roll that fabric up like a log, like you would roll a carpet or something like that. So it's all rolled up there. Then we're going to pull our piece of fabric over, and on that seam there we're going to join those seams together like that. Okay, I'm going to come down on that one actually. There we go. And then you can put a pin here, as I say, just to make sure that none of that comes out if you're a little bit concerned about it, and that will stop that. Sometimes where the big bits of glitter is, it's there we go, it's stopping it from going through. It's causing quite a big, making it quite thick. Right, so what we're going to do now, and I've got that all pushed out the way, is take our pins, and we're going to pin from here all the way along here, around here, around that neckline, and all the way along to this corner here and down here. Alright, so I should just go away and do that. So there you go, so it's all pinned all the way around. So we're going to start stitching here, we're going to stitch and do a back stitch, and we're going to come all the way around like that, and then finish off there with a little back stitch. So again, we're starting with that on that 1/4 of an inch, and we're just going to take our time running around it. Back stitch, and then all the way around, taking your pins out as you go. Now when you get to that piece on the foot there, and just see it getting to the end of that piece on the foot there, because your needle's in, if you just lift it up and turn it, you will find that you're in the right position, okay, and it hasn't moved out of that way. And then we're just going to go all the way around. And this is like a satin material, but I've starched it, which wasn't easy. And I only wanted something quick, so I just grabbed, as I say, a tree skirt, because I like the pretty glittery bits on this. But you could choose whatever you liked, and this dress would work just as well in the pretty poly cotton or a cotton fabric. You can get lovely Christmas printed fabrics. There we go. Just coming around here. around that corner. You can see I'm just very slowly moving that fabric with my fingers around, not sort of pulling it too much. The only real time I need to do it is when I get to this edge and I'm with a stitch, I think. That's better. When I'm getting to that edge, that's the only time I really needed to lift that foot. And then a back stitch, and you're done. Okay. Right. Just take that pin out there and take that pin out there. Okay. Cut the thread. Okay. Let's cut it off again. Okay. Right. So here we go. I've got it here. Just need to grab my dressmaking scissors. Okay. So what now we need to do is to take our dressmaking scissors or any really sharp pair of scissors, and we want to come in and we want to do little tiny snips all the way around as close to that line as we can get it without going over that stitch line. If you go over the stitch line, don't worry too much, because what you can do is go back and sew over the top of that tiny bit you've cut. Okay, you want to go all the way around here, anywhere where there is any, you want to cut anywhere where there is any curves, and that will allow the front of your fabric to lay lovely. And you can come here and you can cut those corners down, so you've just got a very tiny bit of fabric there. Okay, and we're going to go exactly the same all the way around here, around the neck. And I shall keep going with that. So now I'm just going to work out which row is my stitching, which is that one, which threads are my stitching, and it's those threads there. And I'm just going to pull on the other ones very gently, which is my tacking inside, and you'll find that most of your tacking stitches will just come out. So you can just pull along that and they will come out, she says. Not that it's going to do it. I'm not sure which ones is which, so I'll try and work it out, and then we'll just pull out the ones which is my tacking stitches. If your tacking stitches are showing, you can always do that from the front as well, so maybe we'll do that from the front. So the next thing to do is to just take hold of your arms very gently, and just gently, not roughly, pull them out through your fabric. Now sometimes I use my forceps to do this. Sometimes I use a knitting needle to push it through, and other times I use one of those things which you use for making spaghetti straps, and that all seem to work really well. So you can pull it all, you're just going to keep pulling at it. Don't pull too hard because you don't want to rip anything. Okay, and make sure that you're not holding on to the bit which you're pulling through as well, because that can happen as well. There we go. Keep going until it's all out. So that side's all out there, and then you can take something which is blunt, and I should have a little pair of blunt-ended scissors here, and you can pop it up into that piece there and just get a nice straight corner on it like that. Right, so that's your nice corner, all looking squared up there. There's your sleeve, and then we're going to pull the other arm out on this side as well. Okay, just takes a minute or two, gentle persuasion. You've got two nice neat seams there, and you've got no ends showing at all. Alright, and then what you're going to do is to take that scissors again and push that out. The only thing with this fabric, I mean, I wanted it to be glittery, but obviously glitter comes off everywhere, so you are going to have a bit of a messy glittery situation on your hands, and so if you don't like anything messy or glittery, I would suggest using a different fabric. So that comes out like that. Okay, then I would suggest taking this to the iron and give it a gentle press. Now remember, if you are using something like a satin or a silk or any of those sort of pieces of fabric, what you want to make sure is that you use that iron on a very low setting. Okay, and can you see how by cutting it you get that lovely edge on there and it flows around beautifully. Okay, now here are my tacking stitches, so you can just go over with a quick on pick now and pull all those little tacking stitches. And if I can grab one, see if I can grab one of my scissors, pull those tacking stitches and they should just come out. I don't know why it didn't come out when I was doing it on the other piece. I got a piece there. Yeah, so just grab hold of them and just pull at them and they will come out. And you should be able to just pull the whole thing out all the way around. Okay, and it'll just come out now. So go over it now and just pull out those long tacking stitches all the way. You should have 2 rows of them. Yeah, there's the other one, look. So the next thing which I've done is I've just got these 2 cuffs for our sleeves, and I'm just going to place them under the sewing machine. I've ironed them and got them all laying flat, and I'm just going to put them on so that that needle touches on the end of the thread. Run that straight down, back stitch, and then straight the way to the end. Yeah, it should work. That one, and exactly the same on the other one. You can do a little back stitch there. And then I'm just going to run down the same on that one. Grab the skirt, which is just here. So now this is the top of your skirt, and this where the hem is going to be, it will be your bottom. So at the top of your skirt you'll find you have 2 pieces which look like that. And you folded those in on that 1/2 inch, and then you folded it in on the 1/4 inch, and you pressed it. And then we're just going to run a straight row of stitches down there. Okay, keeping it as close to that edge as we can. Just do a back stitch just to finish that piece. Okay, and then we're going to lift that, pull that out, and then we're going to move around and go onto the base of that the bottom of that skirt. Okay, there we go. So we're just going to run straight the way across this one. All right. Back stitch and run it straight the way to the end, and then do exactly the same on that side piece on the other side. So I've stitched those 2 side pieces down, and I've stitched my hem. What we're going to do now, and this is why I didn't do it at all, didn't finish the bodice, is because we want to do some tacking stitches. So I'm going to move it back to my tacking, no I'm not, so I'm going to move it to keep it on my straight stitch, but I'm going to change it up until my biggest stitch which I've got on my machine, and we're going to do 2 rows of tacking stitches as close to the on that 1/4 inch, and I'm going to keep it on that 1/4 inch all the way along. Make sure you've got a nice long thread coming out of the back so that you've got something to pull with. Okay, and just run 2 straight rows of stitches. Don't put a back stitch in it. And I'm going to just lift that off because we want to leave that nice long thread. Just going to get rid of that thread which was from the top of the other thing there. I don't want to be looking around like that. And I'm going to give myself a nice long thread here, and then I'm going to come back again, and I'm going to go all the way across again, keeping those 2 threads out there. And I just want to go just a tiny bit underneath where I was the last time. So I just want a tiny bit of fabric coming out. I don't know if you can see that. Just got a tiny bit, just so that I'm just underneath those stitches. go all the way through the end, just the same as we did before. So I'm just about to refred my spool, and I just wanted to show you that if I was using something like this, a fabric like that, can you see how much glitter has gone down into the sewing machine? So what I would definitely do after using this fabric is give my machine a good clean out, because you can see it's just all over there, bits and pieces of glitter everywhere, so I would give that a clean out. It's easy peasy to clean your machine out, and I have a video on it if you need to watch to know how to do it, and they're all mostly the same. These pieces here lift out, this one does, this lifts out, and you give it all a good clean out. Okay, so I should just pop you back, just pop in my spool. I usually put in a new spool each time, but when you're doing just such tiny projects, you don't really need to put a new spool in. Oh, and see that piece of thread, that was silly of me, wasn't it? I should have cut that beforehand. I don't want that to go down inside, that's it. Okay, and I've got Singer bobbins for mine, and obviously this is a Singer sewing machine. You can buy other types of bobbins, but really it's a really good idea to use a bobbin which is meant for your or the spool which is meant for your machine. It just makes it run better if you've got one, because they're all like different sizes. Okay, so oh, here we go. Yeah, so the next thing we're going to do now is just to gather up the end of our sleeve. So again, we're still working on that gathering stitch. So we're going to do 2 rows of stitches across the bottom of here. Don't put, if you're doing a gathering stitch, you don't put in a back stitch. Give yourself a nice long end, and then go back and do it again. You want to do that on both sides, okay, remembering to keep it just slightly underneath where that one was. Okay, and then do the same again on the other arm. So that should be all of your tacking stitches done now for this dress. So you want to move that back into your normal stitch, the stitch you like to work with. I like a 4, but everyone's machine is different, so you need to find the one which works best for you. So here you have your little cuff, and here you have your sleeve with it all gathered along. Okay, so what you want to do is find the centre of your little cuff and pop a pin into it. You can mark that if you'd rather with the pencil, and you want to find the centre of this piece, and you want to pop a pin into that as well, so you can line those 2 centre pieces up. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to line them up so that you've got, so they line up like that. So you've got your top piece facing, your bottom piece facing up, and your top piece of fabric touching the actual pattern side of the fabric. And then we're just going to slip that out and then slip that one into there. All right, and then pull that one out. Okay, so you know that that's in the center. Then you're going to pull that one, put that one there, and do that right on that very edge there. And then you're just going to do exactly the same on that edge there. And then what you need to do then is to get your attacking stitches. Hold on to them. Wait a minute, let's have a look. Here we go. You want the 2 top ones, or just either the 2 top or the 2 bottoms, and then you need to just gently gather that in so that there is the same length of fabric as you've got on that bottom piece. So you want them both to be exactly the same. And then you've got your curves in there, so can you see that? So, and when you've got those gathers, make sure they are even. You don't want to find that you've got a big lump of gathers in one place and then you've got a big stripe bit in another. And then take your pins and poke them in through. Okay, and then do exactly the same on this side, so you'll gather from this side. I can't see the other piece of string here. Cotton there, thread. Okay, right, I'm just gonna pull it there. I don't know. Where's my piece of thread? Is that it? Yeah, there we go. Right, okay, so I'm just gonna gather that up along there. Keep gathering until you've got it all laying across the top and it's all matching up with the size. I'm gonna have to fiddle with that a bit because that's not pulling up properly. Okay, that's better. And then we're going to get the pins and we're going to pop that in and just pin that along. And just like that. So I'll just have a quick play with that because for some reason it's not gathering properly. Is that because I can only find one thread or something? Yeah, I'll just have a quick play with that. I'm just going to sew straight across just like we did, but make sure that you've turned those stitches back to your normal stitch, okay? So if you work on a 4 like I do, turn it to your 4 or whatever you may go on usually. Then we're going to put that along so you've got nothing showing at the end. And we're going to take our pins out as we go. And we're just going to do a tiny back stitch. And work our way right to the end, keeping it on that 1/4 of an inch. A bit more fabric popped up there for some reason. That's better. That line straight there, yeah. Pin. And a back stitch just to finish it off. Right, there we go. Okay, so that's all done there and across there. Take that out. Now you can go back now and work your way and take out these threads. If you can pull them, they will come out. Then you can do that and you get them out. If not, you can go from the front here and just go along and check, see whether you've got any of them showing, and if you have, like we did before, just take, I don't know where my quick unpick is, just take your quick unpick, pop it underneath the stitch and just pull that stitch right out and that'll just come out easily. Okay, so there is your tiny cuff. Alright, so the next thing we are going to do is you can put an iron over this now if you want that to lay down nicely, but the next thing we want to do is just to take our arm, not the bodice piece, just the arm piece. Okay, you want to grab hold of your arm and you're going to come down and you're going to stitch right down here. So I'm going to put a pin in here where we're going to start there, and then we're going to put a pin into your sleeve, not your sleeve, yeah, it is your sleeve, isn't it? Your cuff, that's what I was looking for. You're going to put a pin in your cuff. Now I like to put my pins in my cuff at the end because I want them to lay together. I like to put them in like that way round. Just find it tends to help to get that in nicely, and then come back up that sleeve. Okay. I'm just going to run that straight down there. You can do a little back stitch when you get into here. Okay. Back stitch and then all the way down. Try and keep it on that 1/4 of an inch. I think I went over there. You can always go back and unpick if you think that it's really wrong. Okay, and then a back stitch. And I want to cut my threads back here. I don't want to go right to the end and have that thread hanging on the end, so I'm going to cut that there. Now I'm not going to, but if you would like to, what you can do is take your zigzag stitch and zigzag all along the inside of that arm, and it might be a help if you've got stitches like this which are fraying. Okay, you can zigzag right across there. When you pull your arm out, you should have a pretty little puff sleeve just like that. Okay, right, and I'm going to just do exactly the same on the other arm. So this is our bodice, it's almost finished. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is, this is the piece here which was underneath the arms. I'm going to push that arm right back out of the way. We're going to take a pin and we're going to line those two seams together there, like that, and then we're going to do a pin on each end as well. We've only got a little bit on this one because we've got a small bodice with this one. Okay. You can see I'm covered in glitter. And we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to grab this piece of bodice here. We're going to come in here. Oopsie, I think I might have just caught that a second. Let's just check that. That's right, that's right. Yeah, I've just caught the very end of that. I'll just unpick that very end there. But that's what we'll do. We'll just go around and we'll just take that piece there. We'll line it up with that piece and then we will pull it across so it is touching. So you've got those two ends touching there and those two ends are touching there. I've accidentally caught that in there, so I'll just go ahead and unpick that in a second, but I'll just do this one whilst to show you what we're doing. So we're just going to take it to the machine. I'm just going to run straight the way across the machine. Do a back stitch and right across. When you're doing it, make sure that you check that everything is laying correctly underneath, alright? Back stitch to finish off. There you go. Okay, and just take that out. And then once you've done that, what you need to do is go around the whole thing and give it a clean up of all the threads. Okay, make sure there's no long ends hanging anywhere. You don't want to have that sort of inside your dress, so just go around and do that to the bodice, and then that will be the bodice part finished. Okay, so I'm just going to go and sort out what I did wrong here. I think I've sewn one side to the other side, but I should just sort that out a second. So here is our little bodice, and the next thing we are going to do is we are going to put our skirt piece here, and we're going to put it on the table, and we're going to get our gathering on our skirt piece to fit the same size as our bodice. And we want to put our bodice on, we want to sit that one face up, and we want to put our bodice on so that it's sitting like that. Okay, so what you want to do is find the center of your bodice piece, fold that in half and find the center, pin and pop a pin into it. This is the way I like to do it. I don't know whether everybody else does it like this, but yeah, that's just the way that I like to do this one. And this one is going to be a little bit more with the skirt on an empire line type dress. Okay, so I'm going to pop it like that, and I'm going to put it on so it's facing down onto that, and then I'm going to find the center of my skirt like that. Okay, and I'm going to pop a pin in there, and then I'm just going to marry those two pins up like that. So we put that one there, and then that one there on the top of it, and you can whip that bottom one out and pop it in, and then you can take that top one out. Okay, and then we're going to go along and we're going to gather all the way along until this piece marries up and you've got all that gathered inside there. So you're going to pull it along, grab your two top pieces. I like to use the top ones. What's happening here? Yeah, that's the top ones, yeah. Okay, and we're just going to gather that along. So we're just going to pull gently along here until we've got a nice gather, and then you can marry it up to where you need it to be on the outside of your bodice. I didn't pay much for this fabric. I think I paid $1.50 or something for it. It's just because of a tree skirt. Oh, that's such a pretty fabric. That'll be nice. you want that to fit exactly so that that is fitting there. Okay, so you still need to carry on getting a few more gathers in there. Just keep running your fingers along, making sure you've got gathers going the whole way along. I decided it doesn't want to gather anymore, is it? What's happening here? Oh, look, I'm pulling to the wrong two, that's it. Somewhere or other I managed to pick up the bottom one as well. Right, I think that must be nearly it. Yeah, that's it. So now you're going to come along there and you're going to place that onto there, and you want that to fit absolutely exactly onto that seam there so that that goes absolutely perfectly. I always like to put it in the other way when I'm doing that, and then make sure those gathers are going along correctly. And pin it all the way along that bodice line, okay, just like that. So you get it nice and laying nice and flat. That bodice needs to lay flat, and keep it going all the way along. All right. That's it. Should look good. I'm sorry that this is coming out on a Saturday but then not on Friday, but that's because obviously I've had to be locked down and I've not been able to get in here and do anything, and I've got to get the pattern sorted and everything, so this will probably come out on Saturday, I think, because I just haven't had enough time to get it sorted. Right, and then we're going to do exactly the same, just exactly the same as we just did, gathering it all the way along on the other side. Make sure you're only holding the top two and not the bottom one as well. I could have done that twice now. That's it, and pull that right along in. That's just the way I prefer to do it. You might want to pull it all together first and then put it on, but I like to know that what I'm doing is actually I'm getting it to the right piece. Okay, tiny bit more. This should be a lovely Christmas dress. You could make the doll into an angel if you wanted to, or something like that with this lovely fabric. You could even have to go at making some wings or something. That would be really pretty, wouldn't it? If anyone's got a pattern for some doll's wings they'd like to send me, which I could adapt into something which I could give away to you guys, you know, I'll have a go at making it. Or if anyone's got any ideas on how we could make wings for an angel, I'll always have a go. So always leave a comment in the bottom underneath the video, and I will have a go at trying things out. So if anyone wants to send me anything they'd like me to make on the video, more than welcome to do that. Leave me a comment if you think that there's a better way I could do things as well. I'm sorry about my patterns at the moment. I don't know how to do that's the only way I know how to download the patterns, but I'm sure as I get more experience I will get better at doing that. So I've pinned all the way along, and then I'm going to just do a straight stitch all the way along, and if you can go underneath that stitch there, but I'm going to try and just keep it on my 1/4 inch. So we're almost finished. We've not got much left to do now. Okay, so I'm going to go in and we're going to do a little back stitch. Pin cushion. I've dropped one of the pins on the floor, so I must pick that up in a minute because I don't want Arwen getting it up her foot. Back stitch. I'm just going to run all the way around, keeping that on the line on that 1/4 inch. So I'm just going to do a back stitch there on the end. Okay, there you go. Alright, now I'm not going to show you how I did it, how to do this, because we know how to do this. We're just going to come back to the machine now, change your foot, put it onto a zigzag stitch. I'm just going to quickly whip that off, change your foot, put this onto a zigzag stitch, which is that one there for me, Got your zigzag stitch, and we're just going to zigzag straight the way across, and that'll just keep that piece of the fabric there neat, just along there. Do a little back stitch. Make sure you've got all of it and just run it along. That'll just neaten all of that fabric there up. And back stitch. Okay, lift that off. Right, and then you can go along and neaten up all those long threads there. And then the next thing you want to do is to take your dress, and you're going to take it, take it from here on the hem, and you're going to stitch up until you get to this piece here. Remember to turn that zigzag stitch off, okay? So pop it on like that, line it up nicely. Should be able to work this out. I'm just going to move it over because I want to keep it on that 1/4 of an inch, and this is not a 1/4 inch, but I'm just going to do a straight stitch. Do a back stitch right the way back down over those seams, and then run it all the way up. And when you get to here, because this is where it always comes undone when the kids are pulling at it, I like to put in a couple of zigzag stitches just to hold that in place. Okay, and then I'm going to lift it, just going to flip it over, and then I'm going to run all the way back down again from there with the zigzag stitch. Okay, which I've just put it on, so it's back to that zigzag stitch. Down, and that keep that. You can see how much neater that looks there by doing that. Okay, cut off all your threads and you're nearly finished. Right, the very last thing we need to do is to turn the dress the right way around. You'll be able to neaten up your threads and everything. So here you have your dress the right way around. Okay, I'm just going to take the back, go back around to the back of the dress. Don't forget as well to just take out those tacking stitches. Just go around and go all the way around, and with your quick unpick, and just take out those tacking stitches all the way around. The reason I'm just taking them out here is because I'm going to put in on some Velcro. So I've got that lovely soft Velcro which I got from eBay here, and it's the one which has got the it's just really soft and bendy, and even the plastic side with the actual loops on is soft as well. Look, you see how soft that is. So I just love that one, and I'm just going to pop it on like that and stitch it on like that. So I'm just going to cut myself a piece, and as you know, or as I've said before, I don't like pinning my Velcro. Make sure you put it back to the your straight stitch before you start on this. Place it under the needle. The reason I don't like pinning my Velcro is for some reason it just slides around all over the place. No matter how I pin it, it just moves. It's got a complete and utter mind of its own. So I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to drop my needle straight into the centre of it. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to make sure that the top of it is coming up to virtually the top of the dress, and keep it on the side. Now I'm going to drop my needle into it. Sorry about that. There. And I'm just going to run a straight stitch right up there. Okay. And do a back stitch there. See what I mean about it moving around? I've got no idea why it does that. It just does seem to. And then back down there. And then I'm going to come around, and I like to always do 2 on it, because I always find that it moves terribly. There's nothing worse than trying to put the dress on the doll and the Velcro's is hanging off or it's fallen off, and then you've got to go down and re-stitch it back on again. So pop that one on like that, and then we're going to just line up the other one exactly the same. I shall go around and cut all my threads in a minute and take out all my tacking stitches. Just trying to do it. Oh, the other thing was make sure that piece is facing down when you put it through the machine. And I'm going to grab another piece. Here we go. This is the soft piece, so this is the loop. These are the hooks. I'm just going to lay it on top of my other piece so I get this piece roughly the same size. Okay, get that trim. Now this Velcro was quite expensive, but it's just gone on and on and on. So that was on the outside of your dress, so that's the piece which is showing. This piece we want to put on the inside of your dress, so push that so it's sitting downwards and then lay that across, and you want to sort of marry it up to it almost, well, yeah, to exactly where the other one is coming, so you want it laid so that it's on like that. And I place it under my needle and drop my needle into it. That's it. So that doesn't go anywhere, and then just check that that is definitely where you want it to be. Yep, it pretty much is. Okay, and it's keeping that face down. We come up a little bit, back stitch. A little back stitch there, and then we're going to, oh, I don't know when the needle came up. Whip it around, and then that was strange, wasn't it? And then come back down the other side, and keeping that nice and flat. Remember guys, we don't ever sell any of our patterns, or I don't ever sell any patterns on this. They're all free, and they should be free for as long as the page is going, so I'm never going to be selling stuff on this page. Okay, right, so that's it done. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Take that out of the way. So there we go. All we need to do now is just go around and pick up any of those threads and just trim off all those threads and go along there, and I don't know if you can see, and take out all of those tacking stitches with the quick on pick. Just run around and take them out, alright? And then we'll pop them onto our doll and you can see how she looks. And here she is. Doesn't she look beautiful? I think that she does look a little bit like a fairy or an angel. She's gorgeous, isn't she? This is the new doll for one of the children for Christmas. It's Sydney Lee, but I think we're going to call her a different name, and I will tell you what that's going to be later on. So doesn't she look beautiful? I hope you enjoyed it. It's turned out really, really nice. I could put some embellishments on it, so I will think about what I could do with that, but I do love it. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.